Fortnite has been giving us consistent updates for over 7 years now, but unfortunately not every update is made equal. In this video, I want to take a trip down memory lane and unfortunately revisit some of the worst updates in the entire history of this game. I'm not just talking about bad updates, right? These are updates that genuinely make you want to step away from the game until they were fixed. If you do go on to enjoy this video, be sure to use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop. But without further ado, let's get into this video. What is the worst update in Fortnite history? Certainly, the first update we have to talk about is update V7.01 from Season 7. That is the update that brought the Infinity Blade into the game. This really shouldn't be a surprise to many of you guys that I'm talking about the Infinity Blade on a list of the worst updates in Fortnite history. While yes, it was extremely fun to use the Infinity Blade when you were the one that had it, and it did make for some fantastic content, 99% of the time you were the one getting killed by the Infinity Blade and not doing the killing with the Infinity Blade. It was just way too overpowered. There's no other way around it. I mean, you'll see it in the gameplay. You just rip through everybody. It was even in competitive in one of the biggest tournaments in Fortnite history, and well, yeah, you're gonna see on the screen how that ended out. This is one of the shortest lived weapons in Fortnite history. It was released on December 11th and then vaulted on December 14th. That's how you know something is insanely strong, when it only lasts 3 days. Obviously, it came back for the sword fight LTM, and to be honest with you, that's where it should have been in the first place. It should have stayed in an LTM. This thing should have never been in public battle royale matches. And for those reasons, I definitely think the Infinity Blade deserves to be talked about on this list. But to be honest with you, we don't have to really move forward that much more for our next horrible Fortnite update. That is going to be update V10.0, which, yes, is the update that brought Season X, but I'm obviously referring to the mechs here. While this list is in no particular order, I think the mechs are potentially the worst we've ever seen in Fortnite history in terms of just game breaking. Still to this day, I look back on it and I cannot believe that these were in every single public match for the entirety of the season. It's really just insane to me. And this was the first time that I stopped playing Fortnite. I stopped playing Fortnite for a solid 2 or 3 months during almost the entirety of Season X because I just couldn't stand it anymore. There was no more skill involved in the game, and so many people were the same way. I remember pros, streamers, everybody was quitting left and right because the mechs just ruined it. It was just so incredibly frustrating to go up against, a fight where you knew you were going to lose. The fact that these things were, in competitive game modes as well, I just cringe thinking about it. The problem was, there was no real good counter to it besides, I guess, a boogie bomb. But imagine if we had EMP grenades back in the day, how much more balanced that would have made the entirety of Season X. I just, again, I could literally make an entire video talking about mechs, and I basically have way back in the day. I talked about Season X for an entire video, but that's enough for mechs in this video. Let's move on to our next horrible update. So if you guys have been watching this channel for any extended period of time, there is a good chance that you've clicked on a video and Chapter 2 Season 6 has caught a stray in that video. I can't stand Chapter 2 Season 6, but that's nothing that, you guys haven't heard me say before. And obviously, it's not just me that thinks this. There is a huge contingent of people that just really hate Chapter 2 Season 6. And yes, while this pick for me is update V16.00, which yes, is Chapter 2 Season 6, I want to more so focus on just the crafting aspect of Chapter 2 Season 6. Just having to craft your own weapon and all the floor loot just being horrible so that you are basically forced to utilize the crafting mechanic. I think that's just a terrible idea. And it's a well-known thing, right? You had to craft to those mechanical weapons to, compete in the end game. It's not like you could go to end game with a makeshift assault rifle and, a primal shotgun. It just wasn't going to work that way. And so yeah, the game is essentially forcing you to utilize this mechanic that just was so stupid, having to go out of the way to get the weapons that the season before I could just open a chest and get. It just felt like I was doing so much work for something that should have just been given to me in the first place, like it was for the 2-3 years beforehand. Again, I could literally make an entire hour-long video just talking about the flaws of Chapter 2 Season 6, but I'm not going to do that. So why don't we move on to the next bad update? By the way, removing snipers for bows was a terrible idea. Alrighty, so I actually messed up here. Would you look at that? We are actually going backwards back to Season X. I totally forgot I had this on my note sheet here, but we've got to talk about the turbo building nerf update from V10.20, again occurring in Season X, where they tried to essentially just nerf turbo building so it would be less effective. To put it quite frank, this was an absolute disastrous update. It was horrible. I remember it vividly. The day that this update happened, every single player, every single streamer, every single pro, you could not go anywhere without hearing the complaints about the turbo building nerf. If I remember correctly, they changed it from 0.05 seconds to 0.15 seconds, that being the delay between builds that would be placed, and that's a massive change, a horrible nerf to turbo building. And yeah, the message got through to those Epic devs quickly, because shortly after, this change was reverted forever back to how it just should have been. All right, you know what? Just screw the entire chronological idea of this video, because I have another one all the way back from Season 6. We're going even further back in time to update V6.21, when explosive damage would occur through walls. No, this was not a bug. This was not a glitch. It is explicitly said in the patch notes that explosive weapons will do 25% damage through walls. I know you're probably thinking this sounds absolutely ridiculous, but no, this is actually the case. And yes, you are right that this was ridiculous. I can't believe that I'm even saying these words right now. It's genuinely hard to believe that I'm reading patch notes right now on my screen that says 25% of explosive damage will now penetrate through structures and the environment. There is genuinely only one reason for them to ever even think about doing this, and that's because I guess they just felt like people were just turtling up. People were just sitting in boxes for too long. And so obviously you can't sit in a box if you're getting sprayed by explosive damage from the other side of the wall. It's just absolutely ludicrous. I mean, this update was so bad. It was reverted like a week after it happened. I don't know, like I'm literally gonna go crazy if I keep talking about this topic, so we'll move on to the next one shortly. But I just can't believe that there was a dev that sat there that like pitched to the team, and they're sitting there like, you know what, we should make rocket launchers do damage through walls. The players will definitely not be upset about that at all. This will definitely not cause an uproar, and it'll just go over smoothly. Yeah, that's just ridiculous, and this update was absolutely atrocious and honestly forgotten about. Not a lot of people remember this. All right, so now we are skipping all the way through a bunch of chapters and going all the way up to chapter 5 with update V28, which yes, is the update that brought chapter 5, but there's a little bit of nuance here because I actually think chapter 5 was a really good chapter. Obviously, this update is specifically chapter 5 season 1, but to me, this update really indicated a change of, you know, priorities at Epic Games, and I feel like this is like the one update that you can point to that really is what created like the modern state of Fortnite as we know it. This update firstly completely overhauled the entire UI, which to this day is one of the worst decisions I think they ever made on this game. The UI is absolutely atrocious. Like genuinely, if I were to put somebody on the game who last played like 3 or 4 years ago and ask them to search up a creative map, I guarantee you it would take them like half an hour to even try and figure out how to do that. It is ugly. There is so much stuff on the screen. It used to be so much simpler. It was so much better when it was simpler, but that's also a product of them pushing out so many different game modes, right? The priority shifted from just Battle Royale to now, you know, Fortnite Ballistic, Fortnite Rocket Racing, Fortnite Festival, all these game modes that have honestly just completely died. I even forgot to mention like Lego Fortnite too. Lego Fortnite was so fun for like the first couple weeks and then has just fallen off a cliff entirely. And I just can't help but think to myself, like, what would the game be like right now if they just took all the assets and all the time and labor that they're putting into all these other game modes that honestly have just completely flopped and put them all into Battle Royale? How much better the current state of Battle Royale would be. It's funny, like the other day I was playing with my buddy on Fortnite, right? And he goes, you know, where's Save the World? Like, how can I play Save the World? Like, he genuinely could not figure out how to play Save the World in the Fortnite UI. It's just like kind of embarrassing if you think about it. And that's just to touch on like the UI. That doesn't even include like the locker, which I remember back in, I think it was chapter 5 season 2 when they like totally removed rarities for skins. What a horrible update. They changed the entire way the locker looks. It is an absolute nightmare nightmare trying to navigate that locker as opposed to, you know, what it used to be. And I'm not even saying you have to go like further back, right? Just think about even like chapter 2 through like chapter 4, right? It's just simple. And now it's atrocious. And I'm not even really going to touch on like the item shop here, but that's another disastrous change to chapter 5. And I guess this isn't really chapter 5's fault. This is something that had been brewing for years, honestly, with all the collabs and all the new additions. Of course, we were going to get an expanded item shop. But I mean, even if you go to the item shop right now as I'm recording this, there is literally like 20 pages on the item shop right now. Like, what happened to there just being like one page with a couple of things on it, right? Like, I know I sound like a total boomer, and yes, more options is better, but I can't help but feel like it's a little bit weird when I go to the Fortnite item shop and the first like 20 things on my screen are TikTok dances, collaboration items, like nothing that was even like created by Fortnite. I don't know, it just feels really weird to me, and kind of took away that kind of magic of like checking the item shop every night for a brand new Epic Games created Fortnite skin. And also, what about that horrible loading music that we got with chapter 5? I mean, it's such a troll and a meme to this day. I can't stand that music. And then finally, weapon attachments, right? This came with the Chapter 5 update. I think weapon attachments are a complete mixed bag. Sometimes I feel like they are really useful and really helpful, and other times I feel like I just would rather them have never added attachments in the first place. And honestly, I could make an entire video just talking about attachments, or even ranking every attachment if you want to see that. I think it was honestly just inevitable that when attachments came to the game, there were going to be like 2 or 3 that were just going to be better than the rest. And obviously, for certain weapons, you know, certain attachments are better than on other weapons where, you know, another set of attachments might be better. But honestly, I just prefer what they've done in chapter 6, where it's just like, just get rid of the attachments, go back to how it used to be, put a scope on a weapon, and you can toggle it on or off if you want. And I know for a fact, I'm not the only person that feels that way, and I really don't miss attachments at all. And yeah, so I understand that was a big, just kind of jumble of chapter 5 hate. Again, I do really like chapter 5. I just think some of the core changes that they made with the introduction of chapter 5 season 1 were not great updates at all, and kind of made the game take a turn into a direction that I don't necessarily like. Obviously, let me know your opinions on that in the comment section down below. But the final update we are going to talk about in this video, it's gotta be update V30.00. That is the beginning of chapter 5 season 3. So I actually want to make a disclaimer right now before I absolutely rip on chapter 5 season 3. This season got so much better throughout the season, as a lot of Fortnite seasons do, but my god, was the launch of chapter 5 season 3 an absolute nightmare. I mean, just thinking about it literally like gives me the chills. It was so bad. This is also one of the only other times in Fortnite history that I genuinely stepped away from the game. I could not touch the game until they fixed the damn cars. Like, all the stuff that was used later in the season to counter cars just should have been there on day 1. Like the anvil launcher, you know, EMP grenades, which I do actually believe were there. Or was it boogie bombs? Was one of the two. Honestly, I quit like after I played my first couple games of this season. While I don't think the cars were as bad as the mechs were in season X, there is certainly an argument for the beginning of chapter 5 season 3 to be one of my most disliked times to ever play Fortnite. And I know that there are people that do enjoy chapter 5 season 3, especially the beginning, and I totally get that. And yes, you are absolutely entitled to enjoy chapter 5 season 3, or, you know, God forbid, chapter 2 season 6. But I think I'm speaking for the majority of players here when I say that chapter 5 season 3 in the beginning was absolutely atrocious. One of the worst Fortnite seasons we've ever had. And I'm already waiting for the comments to come up and just be like, dude, you know what? The sweats ruined it. It was so much fun when I could just get a car and just drive through everybody, and endgame was 5 people all in cars. To each their own, I guess, right? And yeah, while chapter 5 season 3 wasn't for me, even in its entirety, the beginning was surely something to behold. It is one of the worst updates in Fortnite history. Alright guys, well, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you believe is the worst update in Fortnite history? Do you believe it's any of the ones that I talked about in this video, or do you think there's something that I forgot? If so, be sure to let me know, because I do read all of your guys' comments. If you did enjoy this style of video, be sure to leave it a like so I know that you guys want to see more of these videos, because obviously I am trying to expand, you know, besides just ranking stuff. All that being said though, I hope you guys did enjoy this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.